Okay, and we're live with another episode of Focal Thought. And my guest today is Kritananda. Welcome, Kritananda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for coming on this episode today. And I'm really excited to have you on because I know you recently did what was supposed to be a 40-minute Zoom webinar on detoxing. And that actually turned into 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
4.5.
4.5, sorry. It was 30
Wow.
minutes off. And the audience was engaged and there was a lot of information. So I'm really excited to get into some of the concepts you might have shared there. So
Yeah.
for our listeners today, I mean, detoxing is something that we're all familiar with it. You can detox in terms of nutrition. You can detox in terms of, concepts of the mind. You can also detox from physical things like electromagnetic pollution, etc. So the type of detoxing you're focusing on, is it specifically maybe to nutrition or something else? Or does it encompass a whole variety of elements?
Well, I think the first thing is that most people, when they think of detox, they think of like drug addicts, and they think about them coming off their drug addict, and that's what their form of toxification is. And I want to address that because the truth is, with the lifestyle that we have, which is so far off from what nature intended for us, we ourselves are that toxic as the common person in society is toxic, whether they do drugs or not, because the lifestyle that we have, the prescription drugs that we're taking, the type of foods that we're having, the type of information we're exposed to, uh, our habits and our choices in life, they're all things that are actually making us toxic. So when I'm talking about detoxification, it's more in the sense of aligning to how nature intended us to be. And with that, there comes, all the benefits of actually being in tune with nature.
Okay. So when you say what nature intended us to be, what is that? What should we be looking for? What is the ideal model for that?
Well, the first thing I want to say, like all these diseases that we're experiencing and all this confusion and lack of clarity and demotivation and stuff like that, they're all unnatural. You don't see this happening in the wild. You don't see like a gorilla just waking up one day depressed,
Okay.
or whether if he has cancer or headaches or anything like that, because they're in tune with nature. They're programming and they're operating the way they're supposed to be operating, and we're not. And since we're not, we're basically in defiance of nature at this point, and we're suffering because of it. And that comes with like spiritual disconnection, lack of motivation, not knowing who we really are, feeling lost in this world. All that sort of stuff comes in play.
So those are the symptoms of not being in sync with nature, right?
Yeah.
Dehydration, etc.
One of the
Lethargy.
most notable forms, obviously, is going to be lack of energy and the various forms of diseases we have. But in the greater sense, it's just these are all just like symptoms of the bigger problem, which is disconnection.
Okay. So if someone wants to detox, should they just go and start a detox plan, or should they first find out maybe what it is they want to detox from, and then sort of, I guess, customize the plan to that, right?
Well, the first thing I would say is like the issue is that most people were so disconnected from how we're supposed to be. We don't even know what health looks like. You know what I mean? Like we look at like a fitness model and think they're healthy just because they have six-pack abs, but then they're also eating like so much and they're constipated and all this sort of stuff happening. So first is to I would say is to do some finer research. Like the types of people that I researched on were like people like Arnold Ehret, Dr. Morse, Dr. Sebi, and a lot of the Hindu faith and Hindu yogis, because they show feats that the body can do if we're actually clean. Like there was a yogi that passed away recently. I don't know if you heard about him. He lived off nothing for 70 years. And
No
it was
food,
only
no
like this
water.
year that he passed away. 70 years from the age of 16, I think. He died at 86.
So zero intake of food and
Zero
water?
intake.
Wow. So he was just breathing in nutrients
Yeah,
from the air, or?
he's manifesting it. Whether it's breathing in through, just like existential energy and then converting that to whatever you need, or the body is just so evolved that it can sustain itself just on pure energy itself. Whatever it is, we don't really know. But, these possibilities are out there. Yet we're on the other side of the extreme over here in Canada, where people are suffering from disease and eating like 3 meals a day, 3,000 calories.
So getting back to that original model that nature intended for us, so I guess that sort of ideal setup would be a human without any health problems, always, in a good mindset, good motivation, good attitude, feeling sort of energized, etc., things like that. Thinking with clarity and, positive thoughts, etc.
Yeah, and the concept that we are what we eat is actually very applicable here because, you know, we have uh, we have a diet where like meat is stable for many people. Yet, if you look at the animal at the time of death, they're in pain and sorrow and agony, and the emotions, they have an energetic impact on the muscles of the host being. So basically, in essence, you're eating that being's pain and suffering. So in turn, you just basically incorporate that into your uh, into your own being, basically, and making those becomes the makeup of your own being, the building blocks of your own being. But if you look at the body anatomically or anatomically, if you notice, we have legs, we have arms, long limbs and stuff like that. We have teeth for biting. We don't have teeth for killing. Like if you look at an animal like the lion or the tiger, they have like 3-inch, 4-inch canines. We don't have that. Uh, we have nails. We don't have claws. And I'm saying this because we were never meant to kill anything. We don't have the tool set to kill anything.
Okay.
And then, so that's one end of the spectrum. We were never meant to eat meat. The second end of the spectrum, I would actually want to point out, which is because everyone thinks that vegetables are the healthiest foods. No, not really. And to point that out, anatomically, we don't have the digestive system that uh, an herbivore has. Like if you look at like a cow or an elephant or a horse, they have multiple stomachs. They have many teeth for grinding. They have large bodies, and they spend most of their day eating.
Okay. So,
And they have a huge digestive system to be able to break down all the cellulose and everything like that to in a way that it can actually extract. But we, in comparison, we have arms and long legs and stuff like that to climb. We have teeth to bite into, and we have molars to chew. We have the tool set to eat fruits and fruits only.
okay, so this is interesting. Usually when I'm presented with, the arguments for not eating meat, it has to do with, sustainability of the environment. It has to do with the pain and, the surroundings that the animal, has been brought up in. But you're saying there's a certain biomemory which is
There's even a
attached.
more fundamental problem than that, meaning we're not even supposed to eat it. And that's what I'm saying is adding to the violation of nature. If we're going against nature and we see all this side effects of it, like you're saying, pain, uh, environmental issues, all that sort of stuff are also side products. It's like it's a lose-lose situation. We're not supposed to eat it, and we're also destroying everything around us as well.
Okay, so we know we are supposed to eat something because we have, a digestive system, we have mouths, we have an exit system as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying it's not supposed to be meat, it's not supposed to be vegetables or plants in that category. It has to be fruit.
We'll just put it this way: fruits are the most compatible.
Okay.
And why I'm saying the word compatible, it's not, black or white in the sense, because there are people eating meat. There are people that are living up to like 50, 60, 70 years old eating meat. But
Mm,
what is their quality of life?
correct.
And you can see this also in the sense of domesticated animals versus wild animals. If you see a cow, and most people don't know what the diet of a domesticated cow is, especially here in the Western world, they actually give them very disgusting food. The they in addition to the hay and everything like that, they also feed it ground up meat, all the dead animals that the farm produced that's not suitable for human consumption goes into their feed, just to not lose money.
Yeah.
And then you see that these cows getting fat and very sick, too heavy for their bones and everything like that. And you see their own decay. It's not that their body outright dejects it or rejects it, but it's suffering because of eating it.
So I heard of people who are solely fruit eaters.
Yeah.
Is there a risk of having too much sugar if you're only eating fruit?
No. And the reason why is that because people assume just because something is sweet is sugar, but like if you really look at sugar, there's so many different varieties of sugar. Like there's sucrose, fructose, glucose, lactose, all this sort of stuff are different types of sugars, right?
Okay.
And they all different have different types of carbon chains. The funny thing is, diabetes people, they're worried about having too much sugar, but like especially type 1 diabetes, the only type of food that they can actually eat is fruits, because the fructose in the fruit is the only type of sugar that readily passes through a cell membrane, whereas everything else needs a carrier molecule like insulin. And for
Okay.
type 1 diabetes, that's their issue, right? That they're not producing a lot of insulin.
Yeah.
But they only need it if they're eating any other type of sugar, which is their grains, which is their breads, which is their vegetables and stuff like that. But if they were to eat solely fruit, they wouldn't even need to produce insulin to be able to be healthy.
Wow, that's quite
You,
ironic
you,
to
do you
be eating
see
fruit.
how weird it is?
Yeah.
Just because they, for the common math, they don't really go into the details of all this to be able to understand it. They they generalize everything, saying it's all sugar. Yet, you know, sugar is what the basic unit that we need to be able to function. For example, the brain only lives off sugar,
Correct. Yeah. Oxygen,
glucose, and
sugar.
fructose. And so they try to create this whole scare about this to be able to, I don't want to get into all that sort of stuff. That's all conspiracy theories, but it's actually evident when you really look at it from my angle. But it's all
So
about
what
the
is
money at that sense.
if I may ask, what is your diet for like what's a typical day for you in terms of what you consume?
Well, like today, myself, like I actually didn't even eat anything today. On Mondays, I usually do dry fasting, which is a proven technique from within all traditions to be able to heal and actually connect spiritually. It's to fast. But on a typical day, mainly fruits, mainly juices, mainly herbal teas, and sometimes I'll have a snack. Other than that, like it's mainly fruits, mainly juices, mainly teas. Like I would have lemon juice with water, jaggery, ginger. That's like my staple right now in my sort of protocol at the moment.
And why is that important? Lemon juice with a jaggery and water.
Well, first of all, it tastes good. Second of all, um, the lemon juice is very well known in sort of the detoxification realm to be able to do a lot of cleaning. And after years and years and years, which is this situation that a lot of people have, they have a very toxic and very dirty internal system. And to be able to start to clean that, you need to have different fruit juices that actually have the ability to strip off and dissolve burnt up plaque, mucus, and old feces that are on the intestinal walls, and be able to draw out the impurities from the cells itself. So one of the fruits that are one of the best fruits to be able to do that is actually lemons,
Okay.
and grapes as well, actually.
And grapes, yeah. I know I've seen you with organic grape juice a heap of
Yeah.
times. And you said snack. What's a snack for you?
Snack for me can be like anything. It could be even something outside. Like the other day, I had some like we have a festival yesterday, so just traditional sweets for that. So I had a sweet,
Okay. And
but
everything you're
it's
sourcing
not, well, everything sourced is organic.
is organic.
Reason why is because a lot of people say that organic's not really organic, and to me, it's more about like good, better, and best. What is your best option, and what is your intention to always align to your best option?
Correct. So
If you're not,
detoxing,
then you have some other priority, and then you can't really expect yourself to get better from that.
so you should always be looking for the highest quality of ingredients.
Yeah, whatever is available to you, choose the best. You don't really have an option. If you want to clean yourself and get well and treat yourself the best, you don't really have any option, right? You have to go for the best. Otherwise, if you're going for something that's cheaper, you have to know that your priority is money. Your priority is not health. Your priority is money, and that's where you're going to be shortchanging yourself.
Yeah.
But what I want people to understand is that, like, how much money does it cost for me to have lemon juice? A lot less than the common person is eating in one day. I'm spending like $5 for a bag of organic lemons every 2 or 3 days, whereas a person spends like $10 on a meal itself. So
Got it.
who's actually spending more money?
So you're actually saving even more money just because
I'm
of the type
saving
of
way more
menu.
money and also saving my health at the same time. I have another student that I was teaching, and uh, I was trying to explain, like all these different types of detox programs that people are having, and that all these detox kits, these herbs, these vitamins, these supplements and stuff like that. And I'm just saying these are just different ways that the business mind's trying to capitalize on a new fad. When, like for example, I was trying to say in the pyramid of detoxification, the most potent and top form of detoxification is fasting. And how much does it cost to fast? $0.
Yeah.
And the diet that she's eating right now, which a lot of people may not understand, but if you get into this sort of field and try to understand it more and more, she's just having bananas. A pound of bananas, a pound of organic bananas, like 80 to 90 cents, 80 to a dollar, 80 cents to a dollar, and that'll last like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who's actually spending more? If you decide to be unhealthy, first of all, the food itself is more expensive. Second of all, you'll be paying in terms of uh, your health and your quality of life. And third of all, you're gonna be spending in terms of medical bills and all these different equipment that you'll start to need, like whether it's a wheelchair or whether it's uh, assistance in the house or stuff like that. Whatever it is, you're just piling it up. Either you pay now or you pay later. But what you're paying now is not even the same price as 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 it is to be able to sustain the lifestyle that you have anyways.
No,
I'm paying, let's just round it up, $3 a day. Whereas a common person could be paying from $15 to $30 a day, and that's just a regular person. Even, a middle class or a high class person would be spending maybe $100 a day.
sure.
3 to 100.
So this thing, I mean, with detoxing, I commonly know, and even myself and with people, they do it when there's maybe an issue, or they've reached a certain plateau in life. But it seems that detoxing is something maybe we should all be doing regularly, almost like a maintenance program, right? just because different things are coming in terms of, poison, and your goal is just to sort of release all of these toxins, right?
Well, yeah. Like I said, most people think they're healthy until they have a problem. But that's only because they're sensitive to bigger manifestations, right?
Yeah.
Once they have cancer, then they think they're sick. But people don't realize that there's signs of that's happening up until that point. You understand?
And it's very
Like
subtle.
like I would like to explain that in terms of the four stages of degeneration. First is acute, second is subacute, third is chronic, and then fourth is degeneration. And degeneration will be something like fibromyalgia, MS, uh, cancer, and all that sort of stuff. Basically, like it seems like your life is very difficult to live. But before that, that same area, the same problem would have started off as irritation or mucus or inflammation. Just people aren't sensitive to that sign. And that's, like I was saying in the beginning, the whole disconnection from nature. If you were connected to nature, you would be able to call it at that stage. And if you were to catch it at that stage, you wouldn't have to suffer throughout as it grows and grows and grows. But that same inflammation, let's say it's inflammation in the lungs, maybe smoke and there's some sort of like mucus that's formed and you start to have a cough, that's an acute stage.
Yeah.
Then you start to have like a whooping cough on and off, that's more of a subacute stage. Then you start to get like pneumonias and stuff like that and bronchitis. Those are more chronic stages. And then it goes into degeneration, which is cancer. The same situation that's growing and growing and growing just because we didn't allow the body to remove it through detoxification so you can have some sort of relief in it. But so I'm saying, if you're sensitive at the acute stage, you would drop it and have integrity towards your health and benefit from that. But most people are not sensitive to there. Most people are not even sensitive to when they're coughing. They're sensitive to when they have some sort of itis or bronchitis, gastritis, lymphitis, whatever it is.
So this is just sort
Colitis.
of having, some sort of awareness to spot the subtle nuances and nip it in the bud, right? Like from the beginning.
And it's not hard. As I was actually teaching someone else today. I'm like, because they wanted to switch to what we call a mucus-free diet, which is eating foods that do not cause this inflammation response inside your body. And one of the ways that this immune response is initiated is through mucus inflammation. These are all first response that the body has to say, oh, there's foreign chemicals that has entered the body, let me handle it.
Yeah.
And then he was having he was having an issue to understand what types of foods are mucus free. And I told him, like, it is only the human mind that needs to understand a list. But if you understand the concept itself, which is mucus free, we're not, it's not like this mucus having sneak attack on you. You can tell if you have mucus, right?
Yeah.
If you eat something and there's some sort of phlegm that comes up just after eating it, or you feel like your nose got a little bit stuffy, or your palate got itchy, or your throat got itchy, or you're coughing up a little bit of mucus right after. Those are signs. It's just that we're not tuned to be able to look at that as something serious. Then you just shrug it off as if it's something small, but it's not something small. You ate something, your body didn't like it, showing a response, and you're telling it to shut up.
So this is something I've heard commonly with dairy, right? It's mucus forming.
Oh, heavily. Probably one of the worst.
Yeah.
And people need to understand the history of dairy to be able to actually make sense of it. Because if you look at the Vedic culture, a lot of things have a lot of dairy products, but the way that the milk is cultivated over there, and there is a lot, like a dilution in that over the years. But especially if you look at the Western culture, first of all, cows are not eating the diet that they're supposed to. Like I was sharing before, they're eating like foods that defy nature. They're not living in very clean environments. They're sick, and all the sickness is being passed on to the milk. And on top of that, after it's being put into the milk, they're also homogenizing and pasteurizing the milk to be able to hide these different foreign nastiness, because it's going to be full of pus and blood and stuff like that. So they want to hide that. So they homogenize it, and then to kill off harmful bacteria so they can meet the standard of human consumption, they pasteurize it. But when you pasteurize something, you denature all the proteins and macromolecules inside it and break it down. So it's no longer in the form that the body was hoping it to be able to use it. And it's so no longer useful to the body. And at that point, it becomes mucus forming.
So it's not that we're not supposed to drink milk from the cow. It's just that the way it's processed, raw milk versus pasteurized milk, that is the issue.
Well, there's more issues to that, because there's also this study that was coming out that the human body lacks the formation of lactase, which is the enzyme we need to be able to break down milk at the age of 2, and sometimes for a lot of kids it's actually at the age of 1. So at that point, no, we're not even supposed to eat it.
And that's the first thing we feed our newborns, right? After mother's milk is produced milk.
But not even that. They even use powdered milk and stuff like that, which is even worse. But
yeah, and then soy-based milk and dairy. Yeah, correct. There's different varieties.
But what I'm saying is that just the pasteurization destroys the chemistry. So if you destroy the chemistry, all you're creating is just acids inside the body. Acid is going to cause mucus. Done.
Got it. You're very famous for endorsing something called haritaki.
Yeah.
What is that, and why should people care about it?
Well, haritaki is a type of it's actually a type of fruit and a nut, in Ayurveda, and the beautiful thing about it is that it's just so balancing towards the body. Wherever it touches, basically does some sort of healing towards it. So in Ayurveda, they came up with different recipes of being able to use it. Like, for example, once they would heat it up in some oil, like sesame seed oil or coconut oil, and try to extract some of the properties of it, and then they use that oil to be able to massage in the head, and it would be a way of treating dandruff. And also, if you were to take it orally, it has a very detoxifying effect on the whole digestive tract from the mouth. Like, for example, I even do this every single day. I use a little bit of haritaki and I brush my gums with it. And what that does, it pulls out impurities, because the mouth is going to be, it's the first place where food gets in contact with the body. It's inside the mouth. So most of the toxins are going to be diffused inside the mouth cells. So when you clean out the mouth with haritaki, it's going to be able to pull it out, and then you can remove those impurities and also hack up a lot of mucus as well. If you were to eat it at night, it gets in contact with the various parts of the digestive tract, like the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, and help you even have a bowel movement. For a lot of people that have a lot of constipation issues, they would benefit from having haritaki. There's also another way of using it is to actually rub the powder onto your skin before you take a bath. To actually pull out impurities through the skin so you can wash it off with water. So there's so many different ways of actually using it. They've also done studies with it, and they found that having haritaki at night, right before you go to sleep, increases the level of oxygen within your blood up to 300%. Wow. Which is huge.
And when you say you put it on your toothbrush, it's just haritaki only. You don't use any toothpaste or anything.
No. I don't put it on my toothbrush. I actually put it on my finger and then massage the gums, the teeth, the tongue, the palate, the whole mouth, to the point where you get this sort of gag reflex. And when you have that gag reflex, you pull out all this mucus from the brain, from the nostrils, from the throat, and from the esophagus as well, and just pull it out. And remember, the mucus is carrying all the foreign chemicals that your body doesn't want. So you're giving your body a way to be able to relieve itself from all this.
Okay, so mucus is a good thing because it is what is carrying all the toxins out, but
It's a
expelling it
good thing
is
in the
the other.
sense that it's your first line of defense.
Yeah,
See, when we're saying mucus free, there's a tendency to blame mucus, which I want people to get away from. The mucus is there to sort of uh, slow down the effect of the toxin affecting you. You understand? It's like your protective barrier. So you have to capture it with mucus, and then you also have to remove it.
got
But
it. It's
people
all
think that the mucus itself is a problem. Your body doesn't create a problem. Your body creates solutions for the problems you ingest.
nice. I
You were
want
saying
to
something?
um I want to ask you one question here because we're almost out of time, and I feel we've only just scratched the surface.
So you can see how this got into 4.5 hours.
Like right here, if we could extend it, we could. But I want to ask you because I'm sure there's some listeners saying, okay, in theory, this is great. They might be motivated to jump on board and start doing this, but they might, not want to see, themselves the rest of their lives just having, lemon juice and, things like that, right? And,
Yeah.
stopping McDonald's and, going to, bistro restaurants, etc. So, what would you say for someone like that? Should they adopt a very sort of vocational lifestyle with this, or is it okay to sort of mix and match a bit? Or
Well, you won't have the effects of detoxification if you eat McDonald's 100%.
yeah,
So that is one thing you need to give up. And um, see, like most of the people that people are fighting for to have in their lives, the types of food that they're trying to fight for to have in their lives, it's not actually because their soul actually likes this food. It's because through programming, through advertisement, through conditioning, through so many means, they have been programmed to be able to respond to this type of food. If they were to detox off it, they will see that their initial response from the beginning, which they've forgotten, was for total rejection of this food.
wow, okay,
But it's like, no one, when they pick up a cigarette, do they actually like the cigarette. But why do we have people addicted to cigarettes? Same thing with coffee. No one, when they pick up coffee, do they actually say they like coffee. Only after habit, after getting continuously programmed that is giving you energy, helping you to wake up, helping you to pass a bowel movement, whatever it is, do you get addicted to coffee. Same thing with foods. And there's that mental aspect. There's also chemical aspects and different chemicals that they add that have addictive behavior or addictive qualities. And there's also biological aspects of it too. There's actually parasites and worms that are actually being uh, implement, implanted into you, which are actually uh, tapping into your nervous system and actually getting those responses.
so
So
here talking about gut health and microbiomes, that sort of thing.
that and more. But what I really want to say about that is actually when they're fighting for it, they're actually not fighting for themselves. They're fighting for the enemy.
They've been
It's
taken
like
over
it's
by
like
the enemy.
this. It's like this worm has tapped into your nervous system and speaking on your behalf, and you're basically screaming at the messenger that's trying to help you and save your life, saying that give me give me the poison that's trying to kill me. And understand, they need a certain environment to be able to exist in. They can't exist in a clean environment. A virus can't exist in a clean environment. A pathogen or these parasites of fungus can't exist in a clean environment. They need you to be dirty for them to exist. So it's a win-win situation for them. You give them the food that they want, and they give them the environment that they want to be able to exist. You are basically host.
And then it's no longer you; it's them that's taken over.
But then, once your emotions come into play and you don't, this is where, spirituality would really help in this sort of sense when you start questioning who you really are. Because if you identify with the emotions, you're out of luck because these parasites have tapped into your nervous system and your hormonal system to be able to dictate what emotions they want you to have.
Got it. And a lot of the
So
stuff is also cultural too, right? In the sense that you're brought up eating a certain, type of
yeah,
food,
yeah. That's
birthday
all culture. That's
parties.
the mental aspect of it, and also the emotional aspect of it. Because you might have, growing up, food could have been a form of love, and
Yeah.
if you're trained like that, then you associate it with love. So every time you feel sad or something like that, you probably go to food to be able to comfort yourself. But those are all, again, very sick patterning that's actually affecting you. Love has nothing to do with food.
Wow. And also, like after work Friday at, 5 p.m., work finishes and people want to go to the pub and, have a pint, have food, things like that. It's all embedded in our,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
our mental culture, as you say, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's not like, definitely not the common person that could be able to pick up this whole thing and actually run with it. But at least if this information is out there, they had the choice. Right now, most people don't even have this idea of as a choice because they associate detoxification to people that do drugs and rehabilitation. But if you really look at it, the person that's addicted to coffee, the person that's addicted to McDonald's, they're still drug addicts too.
Listen, Kritananda, we're out of time almost. Thank you so much for doing this. If
Yeah,
people
no
want
problem.
to get further information and maybe start a program with you, what's the best way for them to find you, please?
The best way to find me is actually through Facebook or Messenger or even Instagram.
Okay.
Um, you can probably find me. My name is very unique, so I'm probably the only Kritananda out there. You can search up my full name, Nitya Kritananda, on Facebook, Nithya space Krita space Ananda, or just search up Kritananda on Instagram, Kritananda.
Okay, amazing. And I'll put these in the show notes as well so people
No
can
problem.
have a link to you.
Awesome.
Thank you once again. I wish you all the best in your
You
journey
too.
with this. And thank you for inspiring everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, pleasure. Thanks.
Take care.